Good Monday, everyone. I'm meteorologist Jacob Wycoff, joined by our executive weather producer, Terry Eliasen. We are coming off a pretty breezy weekend with some more breeze.
So breezy, I just couldn't get to the leaves in the yard. I'd leave it for another week.
I saw Terry this morning, and he's like, I didn't do anything this weekend, which honestly I'm jealous of, to be perfectly clear. Like,
it was one of those lazy weekends for me, watching the Patriots games.
Yep.
And, but lots to talk about. We actually got some rain last night.
Yes.
It wasn't much.
Yeah, that stuff that fell from the sky yesterday is in fact rain. It has been so rare to see the last couple of months. In fact, officially, over the last 24 hours, Boston picking up 9/100ths of an inch of rain.
Look at
I think
that.
it was a 100th of an inch yesterday, and then 8/10 of
8/100ths
of an inch this morning. So not a lot.
Yeah, and we just got a Weather Watcher report from the Skywarn folks, and there wasn't much. In other words, I think the highest I saw was maybe 2 or 3/10ths of an inch in a few spots. So not nearly enough, and we need a lot more where that came from. And the drought continues. These are updated numbers, so that 1.85 includes what Worcester got overnight. Still way out in front for the driest fall to date. Yeah,
so our bucket is deep, our deficit is deep, and there's not a ton on the horizon for us to talk about. Boston in second for the driest fall today. And this is what we've seen the last 3 months. Meteorological fall, September, October, and are at in November, have all added up to the drought situation that we're currently in. About a little over a third of the state in severe drought. The last time we were in a severe drought was a couple of years ago. And the thing about the drought monitor is it adds up all the data up until Tuesday, and then it issues a new drought monitor on Thursday. So the rainfall that we got Sunday night into Monday will be in Thursday's update, but it's not going to help.
Right, yeah.
So we expect this drought situation to worsen, to deepen, and expand.
Yeah, I expect the update on Thursday to look very similar to this, probably with an expanded, even further expanded severe drought area. Probably, especially to the north, where they haven't had. I mean, it's been a slightly wetter or more wet down on the South Shore, Cape and Islands, but not much.
Right.
But anyways, the severe drought definitely will probably be expanded.
And on that same note, when it comes to the severe droughts, we should mention that we're exiting our growing season. So that's the good news, right? Perspective says we're not using as much water outside because we're not growing any plants. We this trend by the time we get into the spring season.
Yeah.
All right, so we do have that added brush fire risk. If you tuned in yesterday, we were playing like whack-a-mole a little bit with some of these brush fires. One would pop up, the fire department would respond, they'd put it out. We have seen some bigger ones, though, develop. A couple towards the North Shore, Lynn into Rockport, seeing a couple of the bigger ones.
Interesting that's been sort of a bullseye area. Well, I mean, they've been happening everywhere across the state, but interesting that the North Shore, obviously from Middleton to Lynn, a lot of brush fires in that area. Obviously, they're in in the severe drought category, but for some reason that's sort of been a bullseye for a lot of these wildfires.
It definitely has, yeah. So
North Andover, another one today that we're going up, I believe one of our reporters now. So
yeah, and you probably noticed the smell of the smoke. I definitely noticed it. I live in Metro West or just beyond in Worcester County, and you step outside even in the morning where the air is a little bit heavier, it sinks to the ground a little bit more. You definitely smell that campfire smell.
Was it yesterday you were on the air and it was the Lynn air quality was at levels that I hadn't seen before?
I've never seen levels this bad. So the air quality, I don't think we have this graphic up, but the air quality, it goes from like 0 to maybe 10 parts per million, I believe it is, or something to that effect. And that's good levels. And it's up to maybe 250. That's the top of the scale. And you don't want to get to the 250 number. The numbers I saw with the air quality in Lynn were about 1,250.
Yeah.
So that's incredibly bad. The air quality monitor was directly downwind of that Lynn Woods reservation fire. But it speaks to what some of our residents are dealing with.
Yeah, no doubt that some folks in that area woke up on Sunday morning and were like, what is going on?
Absolutely.
And now it can, as soon as the wind, obviously it cleared up pretty quickly, the winds picked up, the wind shifted, whatever, but at any given time, any of these wildfires, given the wind shift or how windy it is, it can really spark up and you can really feel it.
Yep, and so what we're hoping for with some of the rain that arrived last night, this morning, is that we could kick the can down the road a little bit, right? Those brush fire risk would be dampened at least a little bit. And I think that's what we see today. It is a bit breezy out, but otherwise we don't have as elevated of brush fire concerns. Tomorrow, different story.
Tomorrow, very different story. Tomorrow, I would almost guarantee we're going to see red flag warnings up again tomorrow. This is the forecast through the rest of the week, which again is very little. The forecast, we won't see any rain through Thursday for sure. We'll talk a little bit later, a little kind of a tricky forecast, but at the very least, we're talking a quarter inch or less for most of the area, more than likely for the next several days.
Yeah.
And that's just not going to. And as we were talking about for tomorrow, the concern is twofold. Very gusty winds and obviously also very dry air. And those are two of the main ingredients for brush fires.
Yeah, when the wind is coming out of the northwest, generally, especially in the wintertime, but generally, our wind content, the moisture content is very dry, to your point. And so we're going to have some really gusty northwest winds Tuesday and Wednesday, ushering in some cooler air, but importantly, drier air. You see those winds gusting 20, 30, even
all
up
day
to
long
40 miles per hour, and still sticking around a little bit heading into Wednesday, too.
Yeah, I mean, we just got to hope and pray that there aren't many wildfires, because trying to fight a wildfire with a 40-mile-an-hour gust all day long, just brutal conditions. So again, more than likely, red flag warnings will be posted again for at least tomorrow, if not into Wednesday. And shifting to just sort of the weather a little bit here, it's been so warm for the first 10, 11 days of November. This week is actually going to average out, but taking today out, average out below average.
Yeah. So this weekend, I think we had slightly below average on Saturday, and then we were slightly above average on Sunday. So we'll call it an average weekend. But when you take this week on a whole, it will be cooler than average. And this is what you're waking up, or this is, I'm sorry, as you're going home from work tomorrow afternoon, you're talking temperatures, feels like temperatures in the mid to upper 30s, low 40s. That's going to definitely have a bite in the air.
I think this is the first time we've broken out the feels like map, the wind chill map.
It's been a little while.
You know, not a time of year. Highs the next couple of days, mainly in the 40s to low 50s. Tuesday, and again, even a little chillier on Wednesday. So again, not that atypical this time of year. It's below average, but not that unusual, but just stuff we haven't really seen yet this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think we did have a 40 degree.
We had a 47 degree day in Boston, but 2, 3, 4 days in a row, you know, definitely something that we have not seen yet. Again, not unusual, and you can see our average high for today and for this week is 53, and we probably won't get there until perhaps this upcoming weekend. So a chilly week.
Yeah,
sure.
And that weekend, as you mentioned, we have a bit of a tricky forecast, so there are some question marks when it comes to that. We do have what we can call sort of a retro. So this low pressure center that's off the coast of Massachusetts.
This is a Friday map.
This is Friday, yep. And so there are some models that are suggesting that this may sort of pivot back through and bring us some rain Friday into Saturday.
So let's introduce a weather term here. Fujiwhara. That's the weather term of the day. So the Fujiwhara effect, you may have heard us talk about before in the wintertime. It's sort of when you have two storm systems and they pinwheel around each other. Picture there being like a central point and the two storms kind of pinwheeling around that point. And so what's going to happen Friday and this weekend, you've got that storm off of the Canadian Maritimes that's going to be sort of shunted westward, while the storm down off the Carolinas is pinwheeling in the opposite direction. So you got two storms sort of rotating around. And as that happens, as you'll see, that low moves into northern New England on Saturday. And so there's some white on that map, Jacob. Do you see that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, northern New England. It's that time of year that they could be getting some good snow. I think that some ski resorts have already started.
Yeah, they have. We have had a little bit here and there. But this is an interesting situation. So I don't think most models are not giving us much precipitation. I don't think this is going to be a drought buster by any means. However, some point on Friday and Saturday, there could be some rain or snow showers in parts of New England. Just from this sort of tricky pinwheeling, these two lows sort of pinwheeling around each other. It's a very sort of a complicated forecast. Stay tuned. If you got plans on Saturday, it certainly may be cloudyish, if not, you know, some showers around.
And when we have these type of situations pop up, the Fujiwhara effect, it adds complexities to the forecast. And so, to your point, I don't think this is set in stone by any means, and it's just added complexity, so a little bit more can change as we get towards the end of the week.
Yeah, we've seen various solutions about this weekend just over the last couple of days, and so stay tuned. There's a chance for some good news. some precipitation. Bad news if you've got plans Friday or Saturday. It may be sort of cloudy-ish and some showers going on. And again, up in northern New England, maybe some snow showers.
Yep.
We have mostly good news when it comes to the tropics. I mean, last week we were talking about Raphael. That is long gone.
Yep.
Fizzled out this weekend. And really all we have left is this little chance for Yucatan. But you and I were looking at some of the longer range models earlier.
Yep.
I don't want to certainly alarm anybody way out in the future, but there is a chance if this thing develops that it starts to pull northward and maybe is a story a week or two.
It's like, it's almost as we approach the middle of Thanksgiving week, it could be a story for us. But a lot of, a butterfly flaps its wings in South America, and then this blows out to sea. Yeah.
Right.
So there's a lot that can change with that. But I think the most immediate concern would be, will this form into our next storm and the areas that potentially could be impacted? So like you said,
South Florida. I mean, again, nothing to be concerned of as of yet, but some of the longer range models indicating, disturbance coming out of this area and approaching like South Florida or the Gulf area in a week or two. But that's a ways off. If it were to happen, if it were to develop into a storm, Sarah is next on the list.
Yep.
Where we are, we're making our way down there. I mean, the season does technically end November 30th, but we've seen storms develop near or just after that in the past.
Absolutely. What's interesting, I think we started a couple of years ago, but we had been going to the Greek alphabet, alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon. But we have since changed that. We have a supplemental list. Yep. If we extinguish all these names, if we use them all, we go to a list that's like kind of evergreen for every year, and we'll just kind of go through that list.
Yeah,
so just a little Jeopardy fact for you.
It's my favorite part. Like, I feel like people really, I think, appreciate the astronomical events and stuff that they can kind of see in the night sky. And well, this week there's nothing major. There's not a comet or an eclipse or anything. I think there are several little things that we can talk about and that people can look forward to. Number one, sunset planet. So over the next couple of nights, Venus and Mercury will be in the southwestern sky right after sunset. So if you're driving home and it's about 5:30, look off to the southwest. Venus is like the easiest thing to see. It's like the brightest thing in the sky. If you hold out your hands, couple fist lengths down to the right is going to be Mercury. So that's kind of one thing.
We also have a couple of meteor showers, one a little bit better than the others. We have the Taurids, northern Taurids.
That would be tonight.
That's tonight. And then we have the Leonids, right?
Yep,
over the weekend. That's a little bit better. They're not great meteor showers. We always have to add some caution to us saying this because people hear, oh, it's a meteor shower. They're expecting just shooting stars everywhere.
Right.
It's usually not the case. We have some that are better than others.
But if you're out late tonight, there could be one every 5 or 10 minutes or so, a shooting star. And if you're out over the weekend, Saturday night, the Leonids have come and gone. We've had some great Leonid shows over the years. More recent times, they haven't been great. The biggest problem this weekend is going to be the full moon.
The full moon,
sort of too much light in the sky to have a really good show. But so active sun. The sun has a bunch of sunspots on it, and it's been sort of percolating the last couple of days. And some of the space weather folks are saying there's about a 30% chance of seeing a X class, which is one of the major solar flares in the next couple of days. And of course, if that happens, we're talking about another chance for an aurora later this week. So something to keep an eye on.
Absolutely, and we're in a solar maximum the next year or so. So don't be surprised if we talk about Aurora Borealis more often. We saw the two great events, one in May, the past, was that October?
About a month ago?
Or so, that we had the amazing event. I think that this is just priming people to just look up, which I absolutely love. As a meteorologist, I look up every single day. I hope you do at home. We also have our 4th supermoon of 2024. That is arriving this weekend too, right?
It's officially full Friday at 4:29 p.m.
There you go.
I just wrote a blog on it. So, and so that'd be the full beaver moon. That's the full moon in November, but it's called a supermoon because it's closer to Earth in its yearly orbit than what is typical. And so we've had 4 of those this year, and it just means it looks a little bit bigger and brighter.
It's slightly bigger. We want to dampen expectations. It's not going to be gigantic in the sky, but it is brighter. It is just a little bit bigger too.
Yeah, so just something to look forward to at the end of the week. And here's that, what we were talking about earlier, really any night this week. At around 5 o'clock if you're driving home or you're out and about looking southwest, and then the full beaver moon as well, 4:29 p.m. on Friday.
Very cool.
A couple of things to look forward to. And speaking of looking forward to, had to throw this in there.
Yeah.
Just made this graphic before the noon show today, and listen, 43 shopping days. So I'm assuming you're done your Christmas shopping.
I've been done since June 1st. yeah.
You're one of those guys that like to be prepared. This is crazy. I mean, first off, Thanksgiving right around the corner.
Yeah.
But I think it was Mike Sullivan this morning's meeting was saying this particular year, because Thanksgiving is coming late.
So late, yeah.
There's a very small window between Christmas shopping, which is basically Black Friday through Christmas. There's a smaller window than normal. It's like 3 weeks or something. So not to alarm anybody about Christmas shopping.
Start now.
Yeah, you best immediately get out there.
What I love about this, winter solstice 48 days away. After that, we're gaining days, daylight.
Yeah.
Back. So
we're almost
we're almost there. We've almost turned the corner.
We'll be coming out of the darkness any month now.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll finish up with the 7-day. Pretty much what we were just talking about, a chilly week.
Yeah, so Tuesday, the takeaway, likely very windy. Please exercise caution when you're outside. There have been multiple fires that have started because of, a cigarette butt being thrown out. It doesn't take much. I saw a report out of Tallinn, Connecticut over the weekend. They had wind damage and a transformer fell, and it spread very quickly in the town green there. So I think tomorrow, the big takeaway is with the wind, let's watch that brush fire risk. And then chilly stuff Wednesday and Thursday before we start to become a little bit more mild, more average for Friday and Saturday.
Maybe we'll start feeling more like the season here as we approach Thanksgiving, get a couple of really cold days and cold mornings, get you in the Christmas shopping spirit.
Absolutely, yeah. Mentioned Friday and Saturday, we're watching that storm that we had talked about.
Much more on that with Eric tonight, and obviously the rest of the week we'll talk about what the weekend looks like. Yeah.
Very good. Well, appreciate you, Terry, and hopefully has a fantastic Monday. With that, everyone.